Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today we are reviewing In the Heights by Manuel Miranda. In the Heights was a stage musical that I believe was very successful and had a lot of clamour to become a movie. After the success of Hamilton becoming a film, In the Heights was obviously the next step to take. And In the Heights is essentially a musical about life in a place called Washington Heights. It's a fairly underfunded Latin American area in New York with a fairly typical love story intertwined throughout. And before I go any further, I should probably explain my stance on musicals. I don't like them. They just don't do anything for me. There is such a lack of realism to them that I just can never get invested into them unless the songs and the choreography and the dancing is literally going to blow my mind. I'm just sitting on the precipice the whole time, and that's just how that is, unfortunately. But I will try and be fair. It's part of the job after all. I never really understood why Hamilton got the hype that it did. Everyone was saying this is the best thing since sliced bread. And then I put it on and I just realised it's essentially horrible histories. Maybe that's a little bit mean to just cut it right down to its root like that. But that is really what came to my mind when I saw it. I thought I grew up with this on a Tuesday morning. My name's Winston C and the V's for victory. Yeah, I don't know why that took a nation by storm personally, but I guess it did. To give In the Heights some credit, within the first 10-15 minutes I was enjoying it a lot more than I ever expected I would do. I like the fact that they do allow some downtime for the characters to speak and actually have a conversation, so that it does let somebody like myself in onto the story. There's also a relatability to the average Joe like me or you. Several scenes take place in a corner shop and customers do come in and they stop and spend 5 minutes to talk to the shopkeeper. How you doing? How's that going? That happens where I'm from as well. People do know each other and our lives do cross paths. So when you see each other, you do stop and say hello. But it didn't take long for me to start getting annoyed and a little bit bored. It's very cliche, and I thought personally that it was pretty forgettable in the sense of its general plot. It is just a very run-of-the-mill dreams of rags to riches. Gotta get out of this place. Oh, I love you, but this place is awful. It's every other cheesy musical you've seen before, just put into a modern day blend. I'd even go as far as to say that it's kind of like Grease. You've got the boys on one side, you've got the girls on one side, they fancy each other, but they're all sort of about it. So they sing songs and stuff, and yeah, I don't know, it's just, you're not going to win me over with an old-fashioned routine that I didn't really like in the first place. And then they started to commit the sin that I least like about musicals, which I didn't think they were going to do because they weren't doing it early on. But they start to sing-talk to each other. Why can't we just take 5 minutes away from the singing and have a conversation? And actually just let the audience in every now and then. When you sing-talk, personally, I think not only does it make poor character development, because you're not really being able to say what you want to say, but it also creates bad music, because the good songs aren't two people essentially just talking to each other. I want a cheese sandwich. We're all out of cheese. What about ham? No, that's gone out of date.
And the Oscar goes to?
Who's listening to that on repeat? I don't understand that appeal at all. Stage people are going to get really pissed off with this review. This is also criminally long. I believe it was 2 hours 20, maybe a little bit more than that. And there was no need for it to be that long at all. So much is going on here, and so much is unrecognised, undeveloped, not necessary. If it's removed, it changes nothing. There's a segment about winning the lottery. Jimmy Smits is kind of in this. You've got the grandmother in the background who's kind of a character, but kind of not a character until it seems relevant to make her a character. There's this whole very poorly done understanding of how people of mixed race and ethnic minority are powerless, and they make this point by having a power cut. Powerless. Do you need to be any more on the nose if you tried? There's a part about how Jimmy Smits' daughter is trying to get out of Washington Heights and how she wants to get a job in the big city, but no one respects her. But that's not really taken anywhere. And I can say that about all of these points. None of these points go anywhere at all, because they're not the focus of the story. For God's sakes, Lin-Manuel Miranda is in this as a snow cone guy, and he has a song about snow cones and how he's being taken out of business, and again, none of this ever comes up again. Essentially, the script is this enormous assault course built for its performers to struggle their way through and somehow get their characters to be memorable and an actual presence on the screen. And ultimately, I think the script just stops that dead in its tracks, because there is too much going on and it is completely and utterly unfocused. I didn't even think the songs were that special. I watched it yesterday, so I've slept, woken up, thought about it, and already in that space of time, pretty much every single song has just left my brain because they were so forgettable. There's 2 songs I can genuinely remember. One I think is called Il Agua, please forgive me if I'm saying that incorrectly, and the other one is 96,000. And the only reason both of these songs are sticking in my head is because the idea of making a good song in this instance is to just repeat the same phrase until you remember it. The song 96,000 is just 96,000, 96,000, 96,000. That is a lot of the songs here. Just repeat something that's supposed to be catchy, and apparently it will catch on. I personally find that to be hugely uninspired and uninventive. The performances in the film from pretty much everyone, they're all just fine. Nothing spectacular. Singing from several characters are good. I think some can sing better than others. Personally, I think the standout was Melissa Barrera. Not only is she absolutely drop dead gorgeous, but she gives a very good, very disciplined performance, and she has one hell of a voice on her. I think she is the jewel in the crown here. I think the film has good intentions, but it just doesn't always deliver it with the best of intentions. There's one scene where a white male says very nicely and politely to a Latin American woman, "Everything's ready for you, Mom." It's just a nice statement. He's moving her luggage for her. I guess he worked by himself. I didn't seem to have much of a team around him. He's a removal man, so he's not going to be on that much of a wage. I'm guessing it's hot weather. He's just worked his arse off. And what this woman says in reply is, "That's señorita to you." And the man buckles to that response and says, "Oh, I'm so sorry." What message does that actually send? The guy did nothing wrong, and now you're forcing racial profiling out of something that wasn't there in the first place. I think that is a very dangerous path to walk down. It's not how I believe equality works, personally. Ultimately, I'm unconverted. I still don't care for musicals. Obviously, with that being said, you do need to take this review with a pinch of salt. If you are a stage fan, a musical fan, if this is absolutely your cup of tea, then why are you listening to me for? I'm not going to be the guy to give you what you want here. I can only speak from my heart, and that's it, I'm afraid. I think sometimes you just have to accept that you are not the audience for something. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but I do think it means that you might need to take a pinch of salt with it. I'm going to give In the Heights a 4 out of 10. It is nicely made. There is some good choreography, performances, as I previously mentioned, but for somebody like myself, I was hugely bored through a lot of this, and I cannot excuse a 2.5 hour runtime for this when it just doesn't need it. Thanks for watching this review. Please be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Make sure you hit the bell icon so you don't miss any uploads, and please leave a comment. I would love to know what you thought of the movie, even if you disagree with me. Take care, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one.